All right, let's tackle a huge topic today. We're diving into how you actually figure out the return on investment for artificial intelligence. I mean, it's the question everyone's asking.
And this isn't some academic exercise, right? This is the multi-billion-dollar question that's being debated in boardrooms all over the world. When the price tag is this high, you can't just go with a gut feeling. You need a real answer.
And yeah, we are literally talking about billions with a B. Companies are making these colossal, company-shaping bets on AI. So, that level of spending, it demands a super clear, quantifiable way to know if it's actually working. And that's exactly what we're going to break down.
So, to get our heads around AI ROI, we've got to start with the giants, the ones actually building the foundation for all of this. Think AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. They are playing a completely different game than the rest of us, and their playbook tells us a whole lot.
For these massive tech companies, their whole calculation really boils down to this powerful three-pillar framework. It's how they take these mind-boggling expenses and turn them into a strategic advantage, almost like a fortress.
So, pillar number one is CapEx. This is just the raw upfront cash they spend building the AI engine room for the entire world. We're talking warehouses just jam-packed with GPUs and servers. For them, the goal is dead simple. Make sure every single piece of that expensive gear is running 24/7. An idle server isn't just sitting there, it's actively burning cash. Okay, pillar number two, it's all about efficiency. It's about wringing every last drop of performance out of that hardware. You know, how much does it cost in electricity and wear and tear to answer one single question from an AI? They are relentless about measuring this stuff. Squeezing just a tiny bit more performance out gives them a direct boost to their bottom line.
And that brings us to the third, and you could argue the most important pillar, revenue. Okay, so you have all this powerful, efficient hardware. How do you actually make money from it? This is where their strategy gets really interesting. It's not just one thing, it's a whole portfolio of ideas.
And this is where it all comes together. See, they don't just have one way to get paid. They'll lease you the raw compute power, renting out a GPU. They'll also sell you finished AI tools through an API. But the real 4D chess moves are here, in the ecosystem value, using AI to make their clouds so sticky you can't leave and just flat out dominating market share. Every single layer makes that fortress stronger.
So here's the big takeaway from their playbook. For the cloud providers, this isn't about the ROI of one little project. It's about building an economic and technical fortress, to creating a strategic moat that is so deep and so expensive to cross that almost no one else can compete.
Okay, that's all super fascinating for the tech giants, but let's be real for a second. You're probably not building a global network of data centers. So how in the world does any of this apply to your business? It's time to pivot from the massive scale down to something practical.
And that's what this next part is all about. This is your AI scorecard. It's a clear, 5-step framework that any organization, I don't care if you're big or small, can use to figure out what really matters when you're bringing in AI. So let's just walk through the logic. You can't know if you succeeded if you don't know what success looks like, right? So step one is defining a clear business goal. And notice I said business goal, not a tech goal. Then, step two is absolutely crucial. You have to establish a baseline. How are things working right now, before AI? That's your yardstick. Step three is picking the right metrics, your KPIs. And only then can you actually get to step four and calculate the ROI. And step five reminds us this is never a one-and-done thing. You have to keep tracking and tweaking.
And when you're picking those metrics, it's so important to remember there are two sides to this coin. On one side, you've got the hard financial numbers. The stuff CFOs love to see. Clear revenue growth, direct cost savings. But please, do not ignore the non-financial side. Automating some tedious, soul-crushing process might not immediately show up on a P&L statement, but it frees up your best people to do more valuable work. Boosting customer satisfaction, that builds loyalty. These are often the clues that tell you where your business is heading long-term. So it all feeds into this classic ROI formula. Now, it looks pretty simple, but the real work, the real trap is in the details. Benefits is where you quantify all those KPIs we just talked about. But where most people get it wrong is they totally underestimate costs. It is not just the price of the software, it's the salaries of the people working on it, the endless data prep, the ongoing maintenance, the compute time. You have to include everything if you want an honest number.
But here's the thing, even with a perfect formula and all your costs accounted for, the real prize of AI often lies way beyond what you can capture in a simple spreadsheet. And that brings us to the final, really strategic way of looking at this. So what's the game plan? First, you've got to think long-term.
Don't get so bogged down in hitting a quarterly financial target that you miss the chance to truly transform your business. Second, focus your fire. Concentrate your resources on the opportunities that are going to have the biggest impact. And finally, you know what? Start small. Get a few quick wins on the board. It builds momentum and proves to everyone that this stuff actually works.
And this right here, this is the key takeaway of this whole thing. Measuring AI is a balancing act. Yeah, you absolutely need the hard numbers to justify the spending, but you also need the vision to see how AI can fundamentally change your place in the market for years, even decades to come.
So there you have it. You have the frameworks from how the biggest companies in the world think about it to a practical scorecard you can use tomorrow. So I guess the only question left is, what value are you going to unlock?